Wow, Sadie, great hair. What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel and welcome back to part 2 of the part 5 series of learning how to become an intuitive eater. So this video is going to be all about how to make peace with food and how to challenge the food police. When you're on a diet, it is so easy to let food kind of control your life. You know, it's one of those things that you don't think it really controls you until you are on the diet or until it's your main focus, and all of a sudden it's all you can think about, all you're focused on, and it takes over, and all you want to do is lose that 5 extra pounds so that you can go out and do this with your friends or whatever it is. And food all of a sudden just takes over and it kind of takes control of your life, and you're now craving foods you didn't know you really wanted or anything like that, and you're depriving yourself of an essential need to just simply eat. So essentially there are 5 ways to make peace with food, if you will. So step 1 in making peace with food is to pay attention to the foods that are appealing to you and just make a list of them. You know, it might be cookies, it might be brownies, it might be donuts, cake, ice cream, whatever. All these foods that you maybe have been depriving yourself of, just go ahead and make a list. It can also be broccoli and kale and spinach and brown rice or whatever the case is. Just any food that sounds appealing to you, just go ahead and put it on a list. Step 2 would be going through the list and placing a simple check mark next to all the foods that you've been allowing yourself to eat, and then circling the foods that you've been restricted or have kind of been scared of eating. Step 3 would be to pick one of those foods and go to the store and either pick it up or go to a restaurant and order it, whether it's like a hot fudge sundae or a pizookie, anything like that, because I'm willing to bet that the food that you've been restricting isn't exactly broccoli. Step 4 is to check in with yourself while you're eating that food and decide if it's actually tasting as good as you remembered or as you hoped. And if it is, obviously go ahead, keep eating it. If it's not, check in and realize that you aren't a slave to your food. You can go ahead and stop eating it and move on. And lastly, step 5, which is probably the scariest for a lot of people, I know I've been there, is to make sure that you have enough of that food, if you enjoyed it, in your house at all times. Or if that seems too scary, just make sure you have the option of going to a restaurant that has that food for you and ordering it as often as you like. If you're too scared to be tempted to overeat on it, that's totally fine. Just make sure it's available to you whenever you'd like it and whenever you're craving it. And this kind of helps just realize that food does not have to have so much power over your life, and knowing that if you eat that ice cream or that donut or whatever it is, you're gonna be okay. And when you know that you can have a certain food all the time, it loses its power. It probably won't seem as appetizing to you all the time. You're not gonna wanna eat this fudgy cookie every single night. You're probably gonna get sick of it and wanna move on to something different, and that's okay. That's awesome. That's great, because you're finally giving yourself permission to eat whatever food you want whenever you want. Just to like put things in perspective, imagine like this seesaw, right? So the higher your deprivation is when you're on a diet, the lower your guilt is going to be. Obviously, you're starving, you're not guilty for anything. You must be doing something right. And then if it goes the other way, the higher your guilt, the lower your deprivation levels are, essentially, right? So you're feeling guilty because you ate all of that junk, but you're not deprived anymore. So when you're finally able to get off this seesaw, it kind of just balances out. You're not feeling guilty, but you're also not deprived. Your life sort of just balances out. Your food will balance out for you, and it's nothing that you need to overthink. It's just food. It's okay to go out and enjoy your life and eat some food. So in this field of intuitive eating and nutrition, there are 2 leading researchers from the University of Toronto, and their names are Dr. Janet Polivy and Dr. C. Peter Herman, who coined the term the what the hell effect. As far as in eating, here's what it's referring to. The moment a forbidden food is eaten, what the hell? Just keep eating and eating and eating. The moment a calorie level is exceeded, so let's say your goal was 2,100 calories a day, and if you exceed that even by 50 calories, overeating is experienced, because what the hell, right? Just keep going, you already screwed it up. Just the mere perception of breaking a food, overeating is actually triggered. It sounds crazy, but I'm sure a lot of you can relate that if you're thinking about eating a food that you know you don't want to be eating on your diet, it's gonna probably push you to overeat in other areas, because if you don't have a donut in your house, you're gonna binge out on something else, right? So here's the thing. Making peace with food is a lot easier said than done. I understand that our relationships with food are very overcomplicated, but it doesn't need to be that way. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm perfect or that my journey with making peace with food hasn't been easy. My biggest thing was telling myself I shouldn't have dairy. It's gross, it's whatever, like you shouldn't be having it. So I went to my boyfriend's house one time and they were making homemade pizzas, and I literally had a pizza with just pasta sauce on it and I think like arugula or something. Like, okay, that's totally fine if you don't like cheese or if you actually can't have dairy, but there was nothing wrong. I just placed this in my head, and guess what? I was still hungry. I wasn't satisfied. It didn't really taste good to me. Like to this day.
Why didn't you just put cheese on your pizza? Hello? It tastes amazing.
And on to principle 4, which is challenging the food police. Dance it out. Dance it out. Dance. So maybe you have, or maybe you have not heard the term food police. It's essentially the people, it could be people around you, people on social media. It can even be your own brain telling you what you should or shouldn't do, such as sweets are bad for you, dairy is gross, don't eat after 6 p.m., you should be consuming 0 grams of fat, walking or exercising only 3 times a week doesn't do anything, I must exercise 6 or 7. Bread is fattening, salt is bad for you. If I eat breakfast, it's just gonna make me eat more throughout the day. Whatever it is, these are all examples of the food police. It could be coming from your own head, it could be coming from others around you telling you not to eat certain things or asking you why you're eating certain things. And the reason it's an issue is because it's going to keep you and food at war. There's no actually making peace with it, because you're just listening to everything else around you. And guess what? We don't get to decide when our bodies are done needing energy. If you're hungry at 7 or 8 p.m., you better be eating. The food police is creating that guilt in your brain. If you tell yourself don't eat after 6 p.m. and you eat at 7, now you've violated that rule and you're going to feel guilty for violating this BS rule anyways. So challenge it in your head. Why should I not be eating after 6 p.m.? Am I actually hungry? Am I bored? And if you're hungry, please eat. If you're just bored or whatever it is, find something else to fill your time, but know that you still have permission to eat if that's what you actually want to do. On the opposite end of the food police, there is the nurturer that we all have inside of us. It's just some of us have it hidden deeper than others because of dieting and whatever. So you're allowed to tell yourself, it's okay to have a cookie. Eating a cookie is normal. Or even if you're telling yourself, I really overate today, I wonder what in me was telling me that I needed more food and how I could have gone about that in a different way. Or even on the other end, when I take care of myself, I feel great. You know, stick to the feelings of the way you feel when you eat a certain food. I know that it feels impossible to not quote unquote be so in control of your body and its needs. Society tells us that our brains know better than our bodies. And I think it's exactly the opposite. Like, our bodies are so wise. Why do you think when you feel nervous, you feel it in your stomach, right? You get butterflies in your stomach and you feel it all in there. Like, we have a connection from our body to our brain. Our bodies tell us when we need something and what is going on. So I know that it's so difficult to just go with the flow and not need to control it, because when so many things in our life are just out of control, the one thing that we can control is what we're putting in our body. Just remember that the food police only harms, it doesn't help. And on the complete opposite end, the nurturing voice in you doesn't harm you, it only helps. So when you're stuck in your own head, just kind of try and challenge yourself, question what's going on and the way you're feeling, what you want to eat, how you want to feel, and just go from there. Like, it's okay to just take it literally one meal at a time and work from there and be proud of yourself. And above all else, just be compassionate with yourself like we talked about last week, and be forgiving towards yourself. So that is it for the video this week, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Make sure you tune in next time where we talk about principles 5 and 6, which is to feel your fullness and discovering the satisfaction factor. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below, and I will see you next time. Bye.